It may come as a shock to some of you to find out that everyone's favourite explosive-loving video game mascot turns 40 this year, which for a video game character is quite an age. He's not ready to hang up his helmet just yet though, and he has a brand new game that's out right now. Want to know more about it? Well, then you better keep watching this video, hadn't you? Before we get into it, we'd just like to say a massive thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Super Bomberman R2, the latest entry into Konami's Super Bomberman series that's available right now, as I just said. We highly recommend you go and check it out once you've watched this video and learned all about it, of course. I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 things you need to know about Super Bomberman R2. Number 10. A very brief history of Bomberman. If you're wondering who this Bomberman guy is, then firstly, welcome to Earth. I assume you're new here. And secondly, allow me to clue you in. Bomberman made his video game debut all the way back in 1983 with a maze title simply called Bomberman. Controlling the eponymous robot, players must navigate a series of labyrinthine levels, avoiding enemies and destroying rocks with bombs in order to locate the door. The game was a hit, and a multi-decade spanning franchise was born. In 1993, the spin-off Super Bomberman barreled onto the scene, which saw White Bomberman teaming up with his rival Black Bomberman to defeat the evil Carrot Diamond and his comrade Dr. Mook. Between 1990 and 2010, there wasn't a year that went by where gamers had to go without a brand new entry into the series. And whilst the little blue, pink and white robot has slowed down a little in recent years, he shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. As you know by now, he's just got a brand new game that's literally just been released, so let's get our heads out of the past now and take a look at what's going on in Bomberman Land in the here and now, shall we? Number 9. What's the gameplay like in Super Bomberman R2? Bomberman's latest outing, which comes from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Metal Gear Solid 5 and Castlevania studio Konami, was released on September 14th, 2023, or September 13th in its digital form, and consists of a variety of different gameplay modes, including Standard, Battle 64 and Castle mode, which each put a twist on the classic Super Bomberman formula. The main story, which we'll talk about in a moment, can be found in the Standard mode, in which players must use bombs to explore a variety of planets and solve puzzles. As players defeat enemies and explore, they'll find new planets to visit, and the more celestial bodies they set foot on, the more of the story they'll uncover. In Battle 64 mode, players can get their friends in on the fun, though considering they'll be trying to blow them up, they may not remain friends for very long. Up to 64 players can engage in the chaotic battle royale at once, and they'll even be able to duke it out on nostalgic stages from Super Bomberman titles of old. No matter which of the game's many modes players pick, however, there are hours and hours of content for them to sink their teeth, or bombs, into. Number 8. What's that castle mode you just mentioned? Well, I'm glad you asked, dear viewer. It deserves its own entry in this list. Castle mode is a brand new gameplay mode that sees challengers trying to take on a level made by a defender player. There are 2 teams in a castle mode match. The defenders, who, as their name would imply, are working to defend keys using gimmicks and elons, and the challengers, who are rivals to one another, but are all trying to get their hands on the keys and open the treasure. Creating a castle mode level could not be simpler. Just select your terrain, create a maze using walls, set up spawn gates and place gimmicks, upload and play. Matches can be played offline, via LAN or online, so even if the internet's down, you can still have a blast, pun very much intended, with castle mode. But what's a gimmick, you might be asking? Well, put simply, they're traps and other distractions that can be used to help the defending team keep the challengers away from the keys. 3 are currently available: cannons, beam ropes and blasting floors, though developer Konami plan to add even more in the future, so keep an eye out for those. Number 7. Tell me more about the stage editor. Oh, you got it, Chief. The stage editor is used to create levels for castle mode, and whilst it's simple to get to grips with, it affords the player the opportunity to get really creative. The first thing to do is select terrain, keeping in mind where the keys will be located, height variations in the landscape, and where you and your teammates, as well as the challengers, will be starting from. After that, you'll need to decide where to place walls, ensuring you create a nice confusing maze for your opponents to get lost in. Next, you'll want to decide where to put spawn gates. These will create Elons who are vital for ensuring that those keys stay nice and well protected. But you're not quite done yet, because the final thing to do before uploading is placing those gimmicks which will really scupper your opponent's plans. The cannon fires a devastating explosive blast which knocks down enemies, beam ropes can be used to block their path, and blasting floors will fling your opponents across the map, though they're also useful for getting from one side of the stage to the other quick pronto. And now you're ready to play. Save your map, upload it, and get to protecting those keys. Number 6. What's the story about? Get ready to fully immerse yourself in a gripping adventure starring the Bomberman brothers and their new friends, the Elons. The world is finally at peace. However, something threatens to disturb all of that: the Black Moon starship. When this nefarious entity begins destroying cities all over the galaxy, things look bleak, but there is hope in the form of the Bomberman brothers. These mechanical superheroes are the universe's last hope, but can they defeat the forces of evil and find out who's behind all of this before it's too late? Jeez, this sounds really dark and scary, you might be thinking. I sure hope the game isn't going to give me nightmares. Don't worry, it won't. Super Bomberman 2 is a family-friendly adventure, and there's plenty of cutesy fun to be had alongside the mild peril. Balancing the moderately dark themes are the Elons, adorable little mysterious life forms that look like fat blue babies and just love helping people, including our pals, the Bomberman brothers. Oh, look at their little faces, how cute. It almost makes me forget about the giant moon that's going to come and destroy everything I love. Number 5. Tell me about the Bomberman brothers. Gone are the days of there just being 2 Bomberman brothers to get to grips with, as Super Bomberman R2 gives you 6 brothers and 2 sisters, but who's counting? I am. I just said there are 8, and then I said there are 6. White Bomberman is hard-working, wise, and dedicated to fighting evil. Black Bomberman is a bit of a narcissist, but is cool under pressure. Blue is a Bomberman right after our writer's own heart, as he loves nothing more than just lounging in bed all day. Red Bomberman is a hot-headed guy who loves to solve problems with bombs. Yellow is the gang's cheerleader, always making sure morale is nice and high. And whilst Green might be the youngest, his cute exterior hides a devious personality. But do you need a bit of girl power in your life? Well, Super Bomberman R2 has you covered. The eldest of the 2 sisters is Pink, a charming lass who loves nothing more than helping those in need, and just can't say no to anyone. The younger of the 2, Aqua, may seem like a delicate flower, but get her angry and you'll be sorry you did. If none of them take your fancy though, then not to worry, because there are more than 29 different characters in the game, so you're bound to find someone you like sooner or later. Number 4. Who are the villains? We've spoken briefly about the Black Moon starship, but as we all know, these things don't build and control themselves, so there's got to be someone behind it all. We don't want to spoil the surprise though, so if you want to find out who's responsible for all of this chaos, you'll simply have to play the game for yourself. Don't worry though, we're not going to send you in completely blind, so let's talk about a couple of the enemies that players will come up against. First, we have the Lugians, who look a bit like dark versions of the Elons. These mysterious life forms are nothing but a hindrance to the Bomberman brothers' exploration, and are going around destroying planets and collecting some sort of ore. But what ore, and what do they want it for? Well, that remains to be seen. Players will also have to face the Lugibon, a bunch of annoying little gits that attack the Bomberman brothers' camp and prove to be an all-round nuisance. The smaller, unarmed Lugians can become Lugibons, which come in 2 different varieties, one that's built for speed and one that's built for power. No matter which you come up against though, they will thoroughly ruin your day. Number 3. Can I play with friends? Well, of course you can. We've already talked about Castle mode in great detail and touched briefly on Battle 64 mode, but if that's still not enough multiplayer goodness for you, then I've got good news, because the fun doesn't stop there. Super Bomberman R2 features 2 more multiplayer modes, Standard and Grand Prix. Standard multiplayer mode is the beloved classic battle mode from Super Bomberman R1 and Super Bomberman Online. Up to 16 players can compete through several sets, with the winner being the player or team that manages to survive until the end. In the fourth and final multiplayer mode, Grand Prix, teams of players compete for crystals and try to knock out their opponents, all whilst ensuring that they themselves stay in the game. It may sound simple and straightforward, but just wait until you get into the arena. No matter whether you and your friends prefer cooperative or competitive play, there's a mode in Super Bomberman R2 for you. And since no two games will ever be the same, we can guarantee you'll have an absolute blast. And again, the pun is very much intended. I'm not going to stop, I'll keep saying it until you laugh. Number 2. Do I need to have played any other Bomberman games to get the most out of this one? In short, no. In long, no. Now, of course, we're going to recommend that you do play some other Bomberman and Super Bomberman titles, but you're really not missing out on anything if you do go into Super Bomberman R2 never having played one of the games previously. Super Bomberman R2's story is self-contained, so there's no lore that's going to go over your head or any plot points that are going to be confusing. The gameplay is also nice and easy to learn, though devilishly tricky to master, so your fun isn't going to be hindered by a lack of Super Bomberman know-how either. If you're desperate for more Bomberman action though, then we highly recommend picking up a copy of R2's predecessor, Super Bomberman R, in which the Bomberman brothers take on the evil Emperor Bugler and his band of lackeys, the 5 Dastardly Bombers. If you can get your hands on a copy, we also recommend trying your hand at the original 1983 Bomberman, so you can experience the little robot's origins for yourself, as well as the first Super Bomberman, released for the SNES in 1993. With all of that said though, even if you can't get hold of any other Bomberman titles, we reckon you're going to have a great time with Super Bomberman R2, regardless. And number 1, Super Bomberman R2 sounds great. When and where can I play? The great news is you can play Super Bomberman R2 right now. The game was released on the 13th and 14th of September 2023, so if it sounds like your cup of tea, then you can visit your preferred video game retailer and get your hands on a copy right this second. Or, after the video's done, but no pressure to stay. And the best news is that no matter your platform of choice, you'll be able to play Super Bomberman R2. On current generation, the game is available on PC, Xbox Series, PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch, and on the previous gen it can also be played on Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and slightly older PC. And the even better news is that Super Bomberman R2 supports cross-platform play, so it doesn't even matter if you're a Sony fan and all your pals are playing on Xbox, because you can all get in on the fun together. With Bomberman celebrating his 40th anniversary this year, there has never been a better time to grab a slice of the action, and if you want to know more, check out the video description and the pinned comment down below. Happy bombing, everyone.